The Man in the Mirror by Hazel. Belinda Anderson sat across from Mark, frowning. She had invited him out to the pub for a drink, hoping to push their relationship forward. But he was glancing at his phone every few seconds in the awkward silence. She really fancied Mark, but he was making it obvious he wasn't much into her. Time to break out the so-called love potion that she had bought online, that guaranteed that the object of your desire would fall in love with you the first person he or she saw. Yep, she was that desperate. The ad said just one of or two drops would do, in which case a whole vial would do better, right? She leaned over and poured the whole damn thing into his beer, and he didn't even notice. So, she said brightly, bottoms up, right? Mark McCarthy grunted and downed his beer, still staring at his phone. Yep, right. Just gonna go siphon the python. Be right back. Belinda, suddenly sure that he was going to fall in love with the bouncer or something, called after him in panic. Mark! Wait! Look at me! Mark raised his finger, still staring at his phone. Yeah. Back in a minute. Not one for public urination, Mark went into a cubicle and started peeing, wondering why he had agreed to this date. It was hard saying no to a straight-out invitation, but he didn't really fancy Belinda. She was nice enough, but didn't really do it for him. Once he finished, he headed to the sink to wash his hands. Hygiene was so important. He looked into the mirror to meet eyes with the most attractive man he had ever seen. It took a moment to realize he was looking at himself, and he blushed with embarrassment. He had never thought about himself as particularly good-looking, really. Adolescent acne, and his brown hair was cut army style to control his cowlick. But tonight he suddenly realized how good-looking he actually was. He gazed into his hazel eyes set off by dark, perfectly curved eyebrows. He felt a surge of love and desire for his own reflection, still embarrassed but unable to take his eyes off himself. Mark wasn't sure how long he stood there, mesmerized by his own reflection, but he was aware of other men coming and going, giving him odd looks. Eventually the bartender came in. You all right, mate? Just your missus sent me in here. You've been gone for a while. Mark looked at the bartender. Okay, sorry. Sure, I'm fine. Just having a moment. He shook his head and took one last look into the mirror. He could hardly bear to tear himself away, but mustn't be rude. Anyway, he had mirrors at home. Mark made his way back to Belinda and kind of looked at her, his eyes flickering between the table and her face. Sorry, not feeling so good. I might just go home. Belinda glared at him in frustration. She didn't in all honestly expect the potion to have worked, but it had either made Mark fall in love with someone else or given him the collywobbles. He didn't look like he was going to leave with anyone, so she suspected all the love potion had given him was a dodgy tummy. Yeah, okay. See you on Monday at work. Mark looked and felt a little unsure. Yeah, right. Okay. Are you okay to get home? He knew how insincere he sounded. Belinda frosted him with a look. Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just, I'll just catch a cab home. Mark nodded gratefully. Okay, thanks. Probably see you at work then. Mark couldn't drive home fast enough. Once inside before the bathroom mirror and gazed at himself. So damn handsome. He reached out a hand to stroke his face and found himself stroking the cold, hard mirror. So damn frustrating. He pulled and tugged at the mirror until it came loose from the wall, leaving scars behind. But he didn't care. He just wanted his image in bed with him. He set the mirror against his bedside stand and stared at himself, reaching out lovingly, wishing he could feel his skin. He fell asleep gazing into his own eyes, his dreams filled with love for himself. He was the first thing Mark saw when he woke up in the morning. Looking just woke up hot. He reached out to touch his face, but again his hand came up against the cold glass. He carried the mirror through the kitchen and ate breakfast with his love. He saw milk dribbling down his image's chin and gently wiped his own chin, the man in the mirror following suit. It suddenly dawned on Mark how dependent this man was on him. He couldn't do anything unless Mark did it for him. The deep sense of responsibility strengthened his love and he touched the face in the mirror. I will never let you down, he whispered. I'm here for you, forever. I love you. I love you, whispered his reflection. They spent the weekend just talking. It was so bonding to be able to talk to this man about his unfulfilled hopes and dreams, about how special it was to finally meet his soulmate. His true love even teared up once or twice in symphony with his own tears. Mark called in sick on Monday. He couldn't bear to separate from his love, even for an hour. They lay in bed and gazed into each other's beautiful eyes, occasionally touching hands and sharing a cold kiss. The days went by so quickly. Mark watched with concern as his love wasted away from unrequested passion. His face was so pale and gaunt, his dark whiskers contrasting with his white skin. He looked like a romantic notion of a starving poet. Mark eventually grew too weak to leave his bed, but he didn't care. All he wanted to do was lay with his love, comfort him while he wasted away. That night Mark had a dream where the glass was no longer an obstacle, a dream where they both soared into the heavens together at last, soulmates who were bonded forever. Several days later, responding to a request for a welfare check from concerned work colleagues, the police broke into Mark's apartment. Detective Carl Munro was the first through the bedroom door. Puzzled, he made his way over to the rumpled bed that smelled badly of unwashed body. There were no signs of a body, just a cracked mirror propped against a pillow. The end.